Hey guys, what beautiful music we have in the background, but that's not what I'm here to talk to you today, about today. What I do want to talk to you about is a fantastic deck that I have for America. Now, it's no secret or surprise whatsoever that America has been winning a lot more recently. It's been doing really well, and in part of that is basically, like a huge part of that, in all fairness, is just bug fixing, you know, like javelins working, as they should. Like, javelins should be effective. I agree with that statement 100%. So America has been easy, and I've been using a lot of these decks. I really like this horses deck. You might have seen the previous video on it. I've made some Russia decks, so if you're struggling as Russia, watch the other videos, because these will, especially this one, this will help you out quite a lot. But what I wanted to talk to you today about is a super easy America deck that, honestly, I haven't lost with it, by the way. I haven't lost a single American match since the update. And to be honest, I haven't really broken a sweat. You know, there's some games where you get a bit sweaty because, well, you're working your ass off trying to, win a very tough game. I've not had this issue. I've been literally playing with this deck on such a relaxed, easy setting that it's really, I mean, again, I don't want to brag or sound like I'm an arrogant little prick, but it has been super easy with this deck in particular, and I want to talk you through it. I want to share it with you because it's just an absolute easy win for you guys who, you know, if you're struggling to play as America, there's some bigger issues than your deck. Maybe see a doctor, wink, just kidding. But ultimately, this is a really nice and easy one. So let's go into it. Recon is what I'll start with as always. You got some snipers, very standard, cheap, easy getting snipers. Obviously, you stick the suppressors on them. I mean, you don't really fire with these. They're just for the laser designator and for the recon with stealth, allowing you to get these boys into sneaky beaky backline positions. Obviously cool little ghillie suits. This guy's not as stealthy, but it's okay, they're a team. And yeah, essentially everyone knows what snipers are for these days. Now I've put the transporter in here. So ISVs are great, they can take an airborne squad, I'll talk about that in a second, but I've basically put the transports of the AMPV and the ISV in here to free up some more infantry space, which, you know, you still get a fair amount of space and quite a lot of squads here, as you can see, but it's just nice to have even more. So I used to run this deck with 4 airborne squads. I know, crazy. It obviously wasn't enough. I need the 7. The 7 is the most I can squeeze out of it without compromising anything else. But yeah, I've stripped all the vehicles from here and stuck them in here, which, by the way, is a really good strategy to do because yeah, think about the recon. How much recon do you really need? Do you need to max this out? No. So instead of maxing it out with, you know, the conventional forces, use the points more on vehicles. So yeah, highly recommend it in this setup instead. Bradleys, right, people are going to scold me for not using Bradleys as much. They're not as good for me. I prefer the AMPV. Obviously 12 men in the back as well, big win. And just Bradleys in general, they just don't really tickle my pickle. Woof. Yeah, I don't really see the point. The optics aren't as good as the Humvee anyway. So yeah, really don't see the point. I know they've got that bit of extra firepower, but you may as well just use the, like, for the same price, I'd much rather a sniper who's not going to get discovered. But anyway, separate issue. Let's talk about this Humvee. I really like it. It is a cool little vehicle. Obviously, 50 cal on top is a big win. You do want the 50. The M240 is fine, but it's just like, it tickles infantry and it tickles lightly armored vehicles, whereas the M2 tickles it a bit harder. So yeah, you want the 50 on it. The reason you don't want the Mark 19, which is a great thing, but not on its own, is because obviously it can't shoot helicopters, whereas this can. And I'm not saying you can expect to shoot down a helicopter this, but in a pinch, in a very rare situation where you know, line of sight issues and trees, etc., if you can get deep in a forest, I've shot down a helicopter with one of these before. So in a very rare situation, this will save your skin. This will never save your skin ever. So stick to the 50. Trust me on that one. Yeah, obviously this vehicle is rapid, 100 miles an hour. You upgrade it to the armor just to increase its HP, basically survivability. So it takes 2 ATGMs to kill it as opposed to 1. Stick the smoke on it. I mean, it's only 5 points. Yeah, it's a really good vehicle. With the extra armor, you obviously lose a bit of speed there, and you lose the ability to power drop it, but I don't care, to be honest. It's definitely worth it for the armor. You still have a very fast, very capable vehicle. 2,400 optics, which is huge, very, very good. And a laser that goes for a lot further than the portable infantry lasers do. So that's good stuff right there. I'll talk about the drones in a second. Cav Scouts, everyone knows what the Cav Scouts are. Basically, in all fairness, they're a very good, they're a cheap javelin. I mean, not that cheap, but obviously for the stealth and for the optics and for the javelin, it's a decent price. 85 points is decent. You might have seen a battle a while ago where one of these guys literally clapped 1 AA and 2 R2 or 2 MLRSs from the Russian side, just because I managed to, you know, send them up in a suicide risky position, and they did the job. I mean, yeah, they're very good for that sort of thing. They work super well. Arguably better than snipers, because obviously Cav Scouts can actually deliver a punch. Careful, if the vehicle has more than 11 HP, you will not kill it. Most vehicles are... what are they for the Russian side? Why don't we quickly have a look in the armory. So Russian vehicles, support vehicles. Right, there we go. 14, 2 hits. 14, 2 hits, damn it. 14, 2 hits. Right, okay. Bit of a trend here. That's not going the way I thought it was going to go. There we go. This is the S300 that I clapped. 10 HP. Javelin is one-shot kill. One-shot kill. One-shot kill. One-shot kill. Yeah, you get the trend. Essentially, okay, yeah, that one's not as, yeah, okay. These things have got a little bit more armor just because they're on a track as opposed to wheels. This thing as well. Cool, but you get the idea. Obviously, you have to know your targets, but they still work pretty great. As discussed, AMPVs, they're not for the Recon tab, they are for the Infantry tab. So, yeah, I just spare points. Space in the infantry and put them in here instead. I find 3 is a good number. Ah, little wire cutter. Haven't seen those since World War II. Interesting little addition. Essentially, basically, what troops used to do is put a steel wire between trees to chop off the heads of, you know, light armored vehicles. And yeah, these will prevent that from happening. So yeah, good little, potentially obsolete. I haven't really heard of that happening in, you know, modern conflict, but yeah, why not? Why not? It's a cheap little bit of metal. Stick it on. Right, Global Hawk. You guys know what this is. It is a big boy drone, and this big boy drone has got very good visibility. Note that the 5,500 is just for the ground. You can actually only spot helicopters at 3,200. I don't really understand the logic of that, but whatever. And the high altitude range is very low, so it's not going to spot planes for you. No drones. By the way, drones are terrible for spotting planes. If that's what you intend to use it as, don't. Just put up a cheap fighter instead. But anyway, yeah, this is... Obviously, it's kind of expensive, 150 points. You're better off getting basically 2 of these guys for sure. But essentially, the problem with this is it will get shot down. It doesn't have the stealth. Obviously, the Sentinel is the best drone in the game. But if you're going to try and spot some backline stuff, this is a really good way to do it. If you don't put this thing too far forward, if you do keep it quite a fair distance back, it's a great spotting vehicle. But again, I rarely use this. I very rarely use this. Decent speed on it, by the way, so obviously again, Sentinel is the fastest drone, which makes it even better. But I rarely use this, and if I do, I keep it very far back or on the very extreme flank, just for spotting there. And this drone is basically a worse version of this. But it's got Hellfires on it, so pretty cheap for 4 Hellfires. It just helps deal with any Ooga Booga rushes on the flank that might pop up if if my Apaches are on cooldown. So if these Apaches are on cooldown, I'll last resort bring this guy in. Again, it's only 110 points. I had the space, I thought I'd chuck it in, why not? Let's talk about the infantry. Now, this is part of the deck that I'm actually very happy with. Let's talk about the next generation support weapons of the airborne. Fantastic. Absolutely bloody fantastic. At range of 600 meters, it will rip apart most infantry squads. Also, how cool do these guys look? They still use cam cream, which I didn't know Americans did these days. British forces, I mean, we still use cam cream all the time whenever we're in the field. Makeup for men, we like to call it, and they use scrim, which again, I didn't know Americans used it, because it's a very British thing to use scrim, basically these dangly bits to break up the shape of your helmet and to reduce reflections, because helmets they're not shiny, you know, you still have the cloth covers on them, but it's obviously like there's plastic bits, etc. Let's be honest, the reason we all do scrim for those serving is because you look ugly as fuck. That's the only real reason for it, but I suppose when you're lying down in the field, it does help. Anyway, enough obsessing about their cool helmets and cam cream, face paint, whatever you want to call it. These are just a really, 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 really good squad. The Moors is really good, obviously 600 heat penetration. If you can get a side shot, the tank's going to be in a world of hurt. You can two-shot, if you, again, on successful penetration from the side, you can potentially two-shot tanks. Very light armored tanks, of course, but tanks nonetheless. But usually, even if you can't, it'll still do a lot of damage to the front armor, and with 3-4 hits, yeah, you're going to destroy the target. Again, this is only for close range stuff. I don't actually mind, I don't dissuade people from running them with AT4s, because you just get more bazookas firing quicker. The infantry loses its range and its firepower, but it's still not bad. If you want to save money for 10 points, just use next gen. But it's really not a bad option to have 5 AT4s instead. Again, if you do them in flanking, more teams coupling up, then it works great. But next gen is a beautiful squad. Obviously, suppressors on the machine guns. Who would have thought? Maybe just to preserve their hearing, even though clearly they're wearing hearing protection. Anyway, now none of these squads would ever be on their own. I like to mix and match them quite a lot. So weapon squads, you never want them on their own because they are expensive, and again, javelins are super effective, they're very good. These two machine guns are okay, they do the job, but essentially, if anything gets close, you kind of, well, you're fucked, aren't you? So that's where you need close bazooka protection from the airborne, so these guys go well together. And these guys, very, very good at range, not so great at CQB stuff. And that's where the engineers come in, with their shotguns. Yeah, pretty good squad. For 50 points, you really can't complain. You can spam a lot of these guys out. Also, they're 6-man squads, so 3 of them perfectly fit into an MTV, something I'll talk about in a second. But basically, I use the MTV to transport all my troops, so I don't really need as many ISVs and stuff like that. Again, ISV will bring out 1 squad, MTV will bring out 3, or, 2 and... yeah, basically it brings out a lot more for this, basically the same speed. Okay, a bit slower, and supply at the same time. Like I said, I'll talk about that later. So you can bring out 3 of these guys. You can bring out the 4-man squad, so the toes and the thingy. You can bring out 4 of them. Yeah, 4 of them, because that's 16. The Stinger team's a 4-man squad as well. I love the airborne Stinger team. Let's talk about that quickly, because it gets 2 Stingers. And Stingers are really good, they're very effective. When you have 2 of them, it just works really well. You can afford to have these guys a bit further up because they've still got 8 armor, which is pretty decent for, a supporting infantry squad. They're a very capable, decent squad. All of the airborne have 8 armor because they're considered slightly elite. They are considered elite infantry, but yeah, better than your bog standard grunts anyway. Mark 19s, a bit of support in fire, very, very useful in an urban setting if you can put these in a high building, like one of those Soviet blocks or skyscraper, whatever. They just really do good area cover. Obviously, a range of 800 meters will cover a large, substantial area. So, yeah, great little team here to have in the deck as well. The toes. Now, the toes are basically just a cheap version of this, a much less effective version as well, but a bit more range. So 300 meters isn't a lot, but it's just to harass the enemy and potentially trigger the APS earlier. So if you trigger the APS or get the enemy to smoke, obviously it has less smokes, and essentially, yeah, it's basically a cheap version. If I can't get these guys in a good enough position, I'll stick these potentially on the flank or something like that, because this is more of a fighting infantry AT squad. Obviously the machine guns provide good cover for your teammates. Well, teammates, I mean these guys, your oppos. And these are more for the flank because they're cheap, 4-man team that you just put to watch the flanks. So, even though there's not that much, no, there's a good amount of variety in these squads. There's a lot more to choose from, by the way, and a lot of things that I did not include. So let me quickly talk about these. This is an honorable mention because, again, you get for 50 points 2 machine guns and 2 AT4s. Double them up into 1 AMPV for 100 points. That's 4 machine guns, 4 AT4s. Not bad at all. However, I would rather these guys. So, yeah, there you go. I honestly think the jump out tactics of these guys aren't that good, especially because they're 6 armor as well. It doesn't make them as survivable. They're not really... I'm not really the biggest fan of the mech squads, apart from the engineers, of course. You can get a double 50 squad if you wish. Helpful in shooting lightly armored stuff. I mean, for some reason, the infantry 50s are more powerful than the vehicle 50s. So if you look at this one, right? Let's stick a 50 on it. 20 with 1 damage. When you put it on an infantry squad, 22 damage. Huzzah, they somehow have modified better 50s, even though the vehicle has the exact same model. I don't know why the game does that. I disagree with it, but that's how it is. And it's really not a bad choice. You can stick them on your flanks, etc., to give you a bit of protection, but I don't find it's worth it for 50 points. I mean, I'd rather have one of these on the flank, or one of these on the flank, to be honest. By the way, remember that the mech engineers, these bazookas are great against infantry, but they're also kind of really good against vehicles, especially lightly armored ones. Now, BTRs have cage armor and heat protection of 180, so you'll do half the damage here, but it's still pretty good. Like, it is still good. Again, the whole point is it can help you trigger APS, which means that this can shoot through. There you go. Bada ding, bada boom. Also 5 of them, so they'll fire not simultaneously, but close enough. Very, 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 very good infantry tab for very reasonable prices. Let's talk armor. You do not need the SEP V3, you do not need the SEP V2, or the Sheridan. I mean, you can use the Sheridan if you want, just for bans, because that noob tube that it's got with the HE shell does a lot of damage. It's actually comparable to the, the M60. So I do actually like these, but they're more for fun as opposed to a serious... you know what? They are fun. Why am I not using them? You can stick a missile on them, by the way, which for 5 points, there's no reason not to, really. Let's cut a thunderbolt and just... Yeah, why not, eh? Fuck it. Banter. Yeah, let's stick to 2 of these noob tubes then. I mean, it's a paper thin vehicle. It is literally just for fun. It was designed to be airdropped out of a plane, which is why it's got the paratroop symbol. So yeah, no real objections there, and I'll cut one of these transports out. There we go, making updates on the fly. This is a fun little addition. Let's put a fun paint scheme on it. I remember when Broken Arrow had an event, War Thunder had an event to put these, to put these guys as football tanks. Pretty good fun. Anyway, sorry, stay on target. Toes, yeah, toes again, beaker, armor, smoke to make them more survivable. You don't need to upgrade it to overfly attack, really no need, because APS will stop it anyway. But essentially, again, it's just one of those for a quick distraction, maybe stick it on the flank, just to provide some extra fire support. The SEP, right, the SEP is a good tank. You do not need the V2, V3. This will do the job. And you also don't need to upgrade it. You don't need the trophy on this. You just want to upgrade it for 20 points purely for the extra 50 cal. The side armor does get increased, but not by much. And you do get extra health points, which is potentially worth it. Essentially, you get it just for the extra 50 cal. So there we go. The gun is absolutely fine. It is good. When we look at the gun of the SEP V2, it's 25 better, and here another 25 on top of that. The best part about the SEP V3, I'll admit, if you do want to run it this way, bear in mind that's 45 points difference. The best bit is that it gets HE and heat shells, so it helps you deal with spam. But the better thing to help you deal with spam is more armor. So more guns is better than one really effective gun. So the more guns, the merrier. You don't go for the Abrams. You can do, by the way. It's not the worst choice in the world. It's actually quite satisfactory. What's the difference? Oh, it's just a weaker heat shell. Yeah, you can go for the Abrams again. You can put the Tusk armor on it for, what's that, 25 points cheaper. Yeah, 25 points cheaper. I think this is worth it for the thicker front armor, because it does make it a lot more survivable against other tanks, etc. But essentially, run these as cheap tanks, and if you want the bigger cannon, this is where this comes in. The Thunderbolt, you don't need to upgrade its armor, by the way, because it should never be shot at. This is only going to be shooting, not receiving fire. This receives fire from the front, takes a fair few hits, to be fair. Yeah, and it's always supported by these. For 380 points, you have two tanks, two very capable cannons on the battlefield. And that's basically what it's all about. You can upgrade it to applique armor. What's with the Frenchiness? Stick to American. You can upgrade to reactive armor as well, but whatever you do, definitely do not put Iron Fist on it. You don't need it, you just don't. If this is getting targeted, you're pretty fucked anyway. So, very good combination to have with these two tanks. Always use these two in a pair. Again, fun, flanky, your serious armor. Any questions there? Oh, I should mention that I do actually like the Wallies. People call these Wallies. That's a pretty good, funny name for them. I do actually like them. What I love about them especially is the fact that they can do HE damage, so to infantry. By the way, same for these guys as well, which is something I forgot to mention. Which makes them quite competitive. When they do heat damage, it's a very good feature to have. As a matter of fact, I'm starting to wonder if I need to put these. I do need these because obviously they go into buildings, essentially, which is great. But I'm quite keen on these guys, again, just because, just like the SSO, they've got a toe that fires HE, which is good. So yeah, very, very good capable vehicles tab. And like I said, this one is especially good crack and good banter to use. Highly recommend it. Don't really know why there's glass here, though. Oh, light for the controls, probably. Cool vehicle. Let's talk about the support. God, I can feel my voice going. I'm sick of hearing myself talk, to be honest, sometimes, but there you go. If you're still enjoying it, then thank you so much for watching. M6 Shorad. This is for the Hellfires. This is only for the Hellfires. I don't really care about its gun. I'm not going to be expecting to shoot down AA with this. That's what the PVAD is for. If I want to shoot down cruise missiles, etc., or SEED, this is what this is for. This is for the Hellfires, so that when I basically put this vehicle up with the tanks or whatever, you know, the armored push that I do, these will be providing Hellfires to shoot primarily at vehicles. However, obviously the fact that they can target helicopters as well is a bonus, so I'll take it. I'll absolutely take it. With radar on, these have got a good range of about 2,600 meters, is it? I think? Maybe 700, not too sure. 2,500 at the least. Yeah, top-down attack damage to arm as well, so really good for harassing enemy vehicles. Stick two of these out, you'll be having a good time. Let's talk about the other AA that I have. Pack 3s. These are the way forward. I love Pack 3s. They are so good. Pack 3 MSE is potentially better, but it's the one we've got, and it still does the job very good. These are very good because multi-targets 3, which is good. I wish you could fire 2 missiles at the same time. Let me just double fact check myself. Strikers have the MSE. Yeah, multi-targets. Okay, but it's still only 1 missile per target, which is not what I expected. I thought they put 2 missiles per target, but never mind. Let's get back to my para deck. It's called para, by the way, because obviously it's got lots of paratroopers and the ability to drop them. I'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, Pack 3. I wish the range was a bit further, but you basically keep these things close to the front line. Oh, if I'm keeping it close to the front line, should I put 50 on it? Nah, whatever. And essentially keep it on attack move. So it keeps moving. As soon as it sees a plane, it'll launch a missile after it. These missiles are pretty good. They're pretty rapid, to be fair. What's the speed? Yeah, basically nearly Mach 3. So yeah, pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. Shoots down a lot. You're better off, to be fair, you are better having a mix of Pack 2s and 3s. But this does the job. I like to up armor it just because it makes it a little bit more resilient to RT fire. and that's it. So in a pinch, in a 50-50 situation between you surviving RT fire and not surviving it, the 5 points does actually make the difference. 8 missiles is good. You do absolutely do not need 16 missiles. You're never going to fire all 16. I got 2 of these bad boys. They work really well. Slam rams. As we've established, if you do want to keep your radar on for the whole game, then put 2 PVADs in front of 2 pack 3s. Seed is never going to get through on supply. Yeah, Seed is never, ever going to get through, and you're going to rip apart anything that comes your way. Stick a slam ram into the mix, and you're going to destroy a lot of helicopters as well. Christ, I love the slam ram. I used to actually really enjoy using it before the update, but with the update, now that the AMRAAM can slam into helicopters, see what I did there? It is so... What the hell is that little dildo sticking up? Jesus, look at it. That is a silly little thing. Yeah, basically, this rips apart helicopters. The reason you actually want it in the 6 AIM 120s, not the mix, I know it ripples fires faster when you have this, but when you fire slower, the flares get used up more. So flares actually get used a lot quicker when you fire slower, which is an interesting paradox, right? You're still going to outrange the helicopters. They're not going to be able to shoot back. And again, if you have a pair of these, then Christ, you're going to rip shit apart. Also, very, very capable against aircraft and cruise missiles, etc. This is a beautiful vehicle. I love it. I really, really do enjoy this vehicle. It's an absolute game changer, the update. The update is a game changer, not only with this, but the CRAM as well. But I actually prefer the Slam Ram, especially for its price. 140 points, I think it's massively, massively underpriced. Similarly, like the Patriot, you up armor it just to make it a bit more survivable in a very, rare situation. For 10 points, it's worth it. Great, great vehicle. MTVs, I've touched about this a second ago. Essentially, yeah, this is my main troop ferry. It gets a lot of boys to the front lines, along with supply. It can carry quite a lot. It's also pretty rapid, so yeah, don't worry about that. Just keep these rolling. Keep your supplies, keep your troops coming. These have never ever let me down. They're very, very capable vehicles. I love them. Paladins, right, you might be wondering why the hell I'm not using an Iron Thunder, and I'll tell you why. The price, obviously, pretty expensive. Now, I can run them with 2 Iron Thunders, and that's cheaper than 3 Paladins. However, if you look at the ammunition, you've got 23 shells. Yes, they're all laser guided, which is great, but there's only 23 shells. Here you've got 24 plus 6, so 30 shells, which is great, with some laser guided, and 4,300 meters really isn't a bad range, I'll be honest with you guys. 4,300 is the range of most Russian RT, and it does the job. It really does the job. Obviously, you keep them on short fire mode, keep them moving, and keep them up armored to increase their survivability. It works just fine. You also get the added bonus of having smoke, so you don't need a dedicated smoke RT piece like the Hawkeye, for example. There we go. You don't need it anymore. Or one of these, or whatever. Oh, by the way, honorable mention to the Avengers. I love these, but when you have a Slam Ram for the same price, you'd be silly to use this guy. But like I say, I do have a lot of respect for these vehicles. They're great fun, really great fun. By the way, a Slam Ram fits into the back of a Chinook, as do these guys, which, yeah, it does make a compelling case to use these a bit more. You know what, just for the paradrops, and just for you guys, because I know you love paradrops too, I will stick these in there. They are great fun. They are great fun. Again, this is one of those where Slam Rams are better, but these are more fun to use, so I'm going to use these. Right, back on target. Paladins obviously have the smoke ability as well, and obviously 3 RT pieces means that you can, just harass enemy supply with them as well. Now, I will admit that the dispersion of these is shocking. By the way, it's a lot tighter if you fire the laser designated ones without any laser designation. It's actually tighter than this one here, which is crazy to think. So when you select the ammo, it automatically becomes a lot more accurate than this. So 150 dispersion, 120. Pro tip, tighter dispersion. Also, even though the fire rate of the Iron Thunders is a lot faster, you need 2 or 3 laser guided shells to kill a tank. Obviously, one shot and then move immediately, because yeah, all those 3 shells will kill the tank, no problem. So there you go. As opposed to waiting for the 5-second reload. Obviously, their reload is slower. I completely accept that. I get it. But the aim time is the same. 2 paladins are really, really good. Sorry, 2 Iron Thunders are really, really good. But I just prefer having the versatility of the different types of ammunition, i.e. smoke, and more shells, because my 2 Iron Thunders, they just run dry all the time. So obviously with 3 vehicles you've got a lot more ammo. And that's the reason I've got them like this. I think that's very reasonable, but you feel free to use them in this setup if you wish. I'm not going to complain. I respect both decisions. Let's move on. Helicopters. So Chinook can fit an Avengers in the back. It can also fit a Slam Ram in the back, which is pretty funny to do. If you've watched my other video, I was quite successful, or a short that I made, quite successful in getting 2 Chinooks. Obviously there's only 1 now because I put in cheap Apaches. But 2 Chinooks, put a Slam Ram in one, put some infantry in the other, and basically drop it around the back lines towards the enemies, like heli spawn or whatever, and you're just gonna do a lot of damage. It's so funny watching them scramble, find wherever you drop these bad boys off to try and find, you know, the cause of their, like, why is my heli not on the front line? Well, it's because I did this. Obviously, this isn't the most survivable thing in the world. It is the super coolest thing in the world. I think Chinooks are absolutely super duper cool. I love this. I've been in the back of one. They're actually very not roomy. If you look inside, these guys are hunched, and I assume these guys are meant to be, what, 6 foot or whatever. But yeah, you can't stand upright, especially not on a helmet in a Chinook. It's actually not as spacious as you might think, despite it being able to lift a heavy load. The Slam Ram should be slung load in the back, by the way, not actually driven up the ramp into the back of it. It'd be slung load with these hooks. You attach cables and yeah, sling load, stuff like that. Very, very cool helicopter. I love it. I absolutely love it to bits. Let's talk about Apaches. Another super ugly, but super, I mean, that is an ugly face it's got there, but it's super cool. It is just super cool. I love the Apaches. Another fun fact, you can actually put 2 infantrymen on the side of Apaches. They can sit on here and put their feet on here and hold on to the handles here. Very, very sketch thing to do. It was done in an emergency situation to try and rescue a British soldier that was left behind, basically. Yeah, so they got a 4-man team with 2 Apaches to try and rescue that guy. He didn't make it, unfortunately, but still, I love the effort. The Apaches are super, super cool. I've actually noticed them, for some reason, I've noticed them work better since the update. I don't know if that's just a perception versus reality kind of thing, but they just seem to be great. The 30mm cannon as well. Usually the Russians would win when it's just a gunfight with the 2 helicopters, but I've noticed this cannon win a lot more frequently, which is surprising, but yeah, that's how it be. How I've got these Apaches set up, I'll talk about all of them. So I'll start with Guardian, it's the easiest one to explain. Hellfire City, right? Jagums are the best Hellfires. They are terminal guidance and they ripple fire. So this just keeps spitting the missiles out. You literally, you can hide this thing behind a building, pop it up, spit off like 3-4 missiles, drop back down, safe, easy. For these Apaches, however, they are very cheap backline terminators, basically. I mean, I think this is incredibly underpriced for what it is. That's a lot of firepower you can bring right there. Obviously, these fire at the same time because they're different types of weaponry, technically. And essentially, yeah, if you just suicide these 2 into the back lines, you're going to have a lot of fun. You're going to have a lot of fun. This has got very good visibility as well. So when we look at, yeah, round range 2,400, 2,000, works great. You send this guy in the back line as well, and he can provide the Hellfire support. These Hellfires aren't as good because they're semi-active, but they still rip apart vehicles. 15 damage. So remember how we looked at most Russian backline stuff was if it's tracked and armored, it's 14 HP. If it's wheeled, it's 10. Yeah, Hellfire doesn't care. It's going to rip apart all of them regardless. And again, those vehicles don't have smoke, so the Hellfire is just super deadly. I love having this setup for 60 points. You can go for this if you wish, but this is more than sufficient. You will get all 4 fired off before you get shot down. These rockets are great. Run it in these two for 300 points basically, or actually 325. For 325 points, you're going to cause a huge amount of damage. Huge. As Donald Trump once said, the President of America, which is obviously where these are produced. Yeah, let's talk about some other things. The Kiowa. Very annoying helicopter when you have to deal with it, but it's got 20% ECM. It is just the AA provider. It is a very slow bird, by the way, so remember that. It is a very slow helicopter. Apaches will outrun it. These are slower than this Apache, by the way, by 10 miles an hour, or kilometers an hour, sorry. And obviously the Chinook is the fastest bird out of them all. Let's put the nice green look on it. And essentially, these are just for when you do this suicidal push into the enemy back lines, the enemy will retaliate by either Panzers, which you do stand a good chance of killing, by the way, or with AA helicopters, which is where these helicopters will come in. Keep them a little bit back and only bring them in if there's an alligator that you specifically want to target or something like that. There's no guarantee that these will actually kill because they are a little bit weak. You probably need a third one to guarantee the kill, but they still bring 4 stingers each. So 8 stingers should be enough to bring down 1 alligator or whatever. Air tab! God, I can feel my voice going already. It is tough. God, being a YouTuber is so hard, but talking for half an hour, whatever it's been, does drain your voice a little bit. So let me rush through this bit because I'm getting tired. This is the cargo in the back of a Globemaster C-17. You can actually get 2 tanks in the back of it. How cool is that? And a Chinook. Not at the same time as the tanks, obviously. Super cool plane. I've had a look on the inside of it. It is a very cool plane. Great bit of kit. Essentially, you don't have to have a power drop plane. Not many people power drop anymore, but it's fun. It's very fun to do it. Again, like I said, because I've never really struggled with this deck, I have not even once, even when I don't want to sound like a mega brag or brat again, but I've not even had to really, you know, break a sweat defending. Even when I was playing against 2 players in a previous game, I was doing okay. I was actually, I was a bit on the back foot, but there wasn't a moment in time where I was like, oh shit, I'm about to collapse, my flank is about to collapse or anything like that. So I had the ability and capacity to just throw one of these in towards the end of the game just for fun, just deep into the enemy back lines. Why not? It's very survivable because of the ECM, HP and flares. Obviously can fit a lot in the back as well. I love the C-70, great plane. It also does low altitude drops, which is super cool. Right, the Eagle is my fighter, a very cheap fighter for what it brings. Obviously 2 AMRAAMs, 2 Sparrows, and a Sidewinder. Yeah, what more do you need? For 240 points, 5% ECM, you've got a pretty solid fighter on your hands right there. Strike Eagle. Most people know that the Strike Eagle is bloody devastating. It costs these cluster bombs, which are big boy clusters. They're 1,000 pounders. Other planes like the F-18 only get 500 pounders, which don't really do as much damage. They're just pathetic compared to this bad boy. So yeah, you drop these huge big boy bombs, they will rip apart Russian armor quite comfortably. They will also do a lot of damage to infantry as well, because the Snake Eyes are pretty damn good. The other vehicle, by the way, 2 missiles on it as well, so yeah, pretty decent in that aspect as well, because it can help you shoot down a drone. Very capable. The F-15EX, so the second F-15, the Eagle 2. Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm tired. Right, the second Strike Eagle is amazing because it brings seed, it brings missiles as well, but it brings 11 JDAMs. Now these are only 500 pounders, so I understand that they're limited. 2,000 pounders do a lot more damage, but they're also a lot more expensive and you don't get as many of them. So essentially when you get this bad boy into the field, obviously the seed will fire, basically, you know, doing pretty good against radar. If this gets shot down, it is a bit expensive. This doesn't get shot down as often as this, because you drop it at low altitude, whereas this does go high to drop the 500 pounders. But essentially, you can cover quite a lot of targets and a huge area, like 11 targets basically. Okay, maybe you double up, that's still 6 or 5.5 targets that you can have a go at. And also, because they're so cheap and such small bombs, you don't mind wasting one of them on supply, which destroying supply is a really very important thing to do in the game. So there we have it. That, I mean, God, they literally put a mounting port, yeah, wherever they could find space. I'm surprised there's no bombs under here or under the engines. They probably would if they could. Yeah, this is great. This is a great vehicle. These two together do a huge amount of damage. We haven't talked about the Thunderbolt, and again, the only reason I have this in is because it's super duper cool. It is a super cool vehicle. 6 Mavericks will help you devastate a Russia push, but bear in mind that this vehicle is unbelievably slow, painfully slow. It would be nice to put ECM if I could on it, but I can't. Oh, I could afford it if I move some stuff around. But essentially, the aim of the game is shooting these missiles off before you get shot down. The armor doesn't actually do anything really, because most missiles will go through it. And yeah, if you can get this thing into the flanks or into, you know, there's a push against you, so into your front line, then it has the potential to do a lot of damage. But bear in mind, it will probably get shot down, which is reflected in its cheap price of 235. I rarely use these. I only use these if I have seed up or my teammates have got prowlers up, and if I don't care about losing them, like, you know, just as a suicide attack run, why not YOLO? But essentially, yeah, they're not that good. You also have to maintain visibility on the ground units pushing, by the way, for the Mavericks, because they are fire and forget, which is good, but when you keep visibility, then that's a lot better. But yeah, I wish this was more effective, because it is a super cool plane, but yeah, no, it's not as viable as you might think. But anyway, there we have it. There's the deck in all its glory, and I think we've talked enough for today. I need to preserve my voice. Essentially, it's great. It's a great all-rounder. I actually do not see a single problem with it. I know people like MLRS, but that's more of a supporting playstyle. It's not for me, to be honest. You can stick it on with the, you know, the HE rounds, but laser guided's more effective. Oh, sorry, these are laser guided. Yeah, forgot about that. This is the cheaper version that's not. You can stick these guys on. You can stick on mortars if you wish, but I'm quite happy with this. Brutuses are good as well, just because they're very quick, so very good for shoot and scoot kind of stuff, closer to the front line. But like I said, I'm really happy with the Paladins here. So yeah, a very good all-round deck, very good armor, very good vehicles, very good support, very good helos, very good air, amazing infantry, and very good recon as well. If you've got any questions, or if you think there's some things that I should change, please do let me know in the comments below. I can't guarantee that I'll agree with you, because I love this deck, but honestly, it is just such an easy to win, easy to play with deck that makes America pretty invincible at most elos. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe for more. Cheers, see you next time, bye bye.